And I was sitting here thinking, I guess I can feel the energy saying, how did you deal with such a thing? Like I said, when I was growing up, I hear people saying, well, how you deal with this? I did. I don't know if I did or did, but I know I noticed it when I was young. All these bad karma, these bad issues. That's what I told that flame when I was around her, and that's what broke her because that's when she realized me and her life was probably the same. But without saying in detail, it's like I was born in chaos, so I didn't notice it. I just knew that something was wrong because no matter how hard I tried, things would go wrong. I would constantly fail in school, no matter how hard I tried, no matter how hard I studied, no matter what I studied. It's just always failure, 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 failure. It was almost like my energy didn't even exist. It was like my energy didn't register, and I didn't know what it was. But I remember getting to the age where I can work a job where I can get taxes, and I remember I was still hustling, and I remember being really bad in the street at one time to the point where I knew I needed to go find God before I lost my life. So I started going into churches, church hopping, and uh, it was like the streets. I didn't even notice it then, but then when I finally really gave myself over to God and left the streets alone, that's when I noticed it. It was like everything went wrong. Everything went wrong that could possibly went wrong. The guy that I was working for, the plugs I was working for, came and checked on me. Yeah, like, they was like congratulating me, you know what I'm saying, for changing my life. And I said that was the worst mistake I could have did. And we all laughed about it. And they said, "What you mean?" I said, "Man, my life been horrible ever since I did it." So it got to the point where uh, I noticed something was off. Cause it was like, I thought God didn't want me. I thought God didn't like me. I thought God hated me. I said, God must, I might supposed to be some kind of king or rule over hell. And God trying to tell me that in so many ways. That's what I thought when at a young age. Cause I would go to the streets. I would go to the streets and everything would work out. It was amazing how it was like the streets infrastructure would just change and everything would just work out. And I never could get it. I never could get it. No matter what, I never could get it. I couldn't understand it. I didn't know what it meant. So I started noticing the energy. I'm talking about I started to notice this at 16 years old and stuff. I started noticing the energy. So by the time I get 18, I've been going. I started going back and forth. I'm like, what is this? I go to God. It just so what had happened was well, no, before I got 18, 16, I said, well, I know I gotta get my life right because when I'm in the street, my ego be tearing me up, just stressing me out. But I like old DB. Just I was so emotional. Things were going my way. I do things, but it was like I didn't fit there. Something was wrong. It was just oh my God. It was so disgustingly disturbing. It was just disturbing. And now I'm saying it without detail, and y'all can just tell. Okay, it must have been pretty rough. It was. Um. So anyway, um, I'm glad I ain't got to explain it. I don't want to go back to that stuff. So anyway, what I do, I started double dutching. I started going back and forth. I said, I'm gonna go back and forth and see that I'm tripping. And that's what I did. I would go and make my life, I would go live a legal life. Life would turn into an absolute disaster. I mean, I would go to jobs that would be fair, but they were back-breaking jobs. They were overly worked jobs, underpaid jobs. It was very hot, 110 degrees temperature. It was gruesome. And then I would go, it wasn't gruesome, but it was rough. Then I would go back to the streets. I did this on purpose. Find me a source of income in the street and start doing it, and everything would change again. Everything come back again, just like overnight. Within 24 hours, and I was like, something though off. So me being too young to understand what's going on, me being too young to get it, I said, me being too young to get it and understand what's going on, I just said, okay, well, I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go 5 years like this or 2 years like this. You know what I did? I would go 5 years to go to work. I ain't had no choice because on year 5, something would happen at the job. The whole job would relocate. The whole business would relocate. It's like it was something beyond mountains, bro. It was something supernatural. It was something crazy. One time I was working 2, 3 jobs. No, I was working 2 jobs and I was going to school full time. And which did not work out at all. I was working two 12-hour jobs when I was and when they off shifts. And when you work 2 12-hour jobs, you off one shift. When you it's 3 days off, 3 days on, then you work 5 days. Well, so one week you might work 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday. So when I on that 12-hour job shift, when I just work Wednesday and Thursday, I would work another job that Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then it'll go to the over and over. So I work 12 hours every day, and in the morning time I would go to college, a technical college, and try to get me some education to try to get out of them jobs. And because at this point I was completely trying to get away from the streets. I made my mind up to get away from the streets. I was trying to clear my ego, clear my heart, my mind. It was like something kept tearing me apart. Anyway, hold on. Anyway, so I had to figure out something. I said, I can't get right. Ain't no way in the hell I can get right. Because I ain't going to be able to live. Because I ain't got no family. They not supporting me. They going to keep me in these trap states. They're not supporting me. And in that situation, I felt like I started noticing energy. And I was like, it's like my family I seen family members do complete evil, but live like they angels in heaven on earth. Not nothing like no Job, something that was crazy. And it was like, somehow they were swapping my energy. That's how I felt. And they knew how to do this. And my female friends would always eventually change on me and call me Diablo, call me all kind of names. And I was like, no, and I would say to family member that they probably with, I say, you with the Diablo, they look like Diablo. They look like little monsters. I tell them in their face. That's why I say, I know y'all ain't talking to me. When you saying that you let people do this, I done handled them real good, but the cops and everything in their pocket, like everybody was part of this. People getting paid off of treating me like this. It's like I'm a source of energy. I knew that. I started realizing that around 18, 20, 21 years old. And I started realizing that because me and my cousin, the one that died, went around and started handling some people. And we got them up, gathered a few of them up. And they told me, they were like, your family doing this to you. That's all they could say though. They were scared of these people. And I just let it go. And then I was like, me and my brother I said, maybe they swapping my identity or something with theirs, and they might be a demon for real. We was laughing about it because we didn't want to believe in that. We were like, what is this, a joke? What are we talking about? So, you know, really, I can't even remember if the conversation was like that, but it would have been like that if we knew what we were talking about. We just knew the energy was off, like something was off. This bad karma I was getting didn't fit the description. Like they was getting blessed as if they was me, and I was getting tortured as if I was them all the time. It was going back to back, back to back, back to back. So when I figured this out, I just knew, okay, I'm gonna go to work 4 to 5 years, and then I'm gonna get off and I go to the street for 2 years. That's the only way I can make it. That's the only way I can make it. I go to work 4 or 5 years, and then I go to the streets for 2 years. That was it. And so when I finally started getting too old for that, and I really got tired of doing that in a way, which it helped me a lot because I learned about I perfected moderation. I learned about energy a lot naturally without somebody teaching it to me, and I just learned a lot. So I guess that was part of the plan, to go through that kind of torture to activate that inside me. At least I tell myself that to make me feel better about it. But in a way, and like I said, I'm skipping all the details. You know what I'm saying? So in a way, I got people will play games around me, always like they do now. Play these little games. You know what I'm saying? Even the little friends, they play these little phone games stuff. It always been that way. Always. It's like I'm in this. It ain't even no Truman Show. It's a torturing chamber at this point. And then finally, I got what God revealed itself to me and told me. He was like, I'm really skipping stuff now. He was like, your family or your pop or one of them, he said they keep signing you up for something. That's why your life was bad. Just know everything you didn't go unnoticed. It's accounted for, and it's gonna be accounted for. And he said, you've been right the whole time. You ain't been tripping. That's what God told me. He said, your ex-wife and a lot of people that you thought were there for you ain't really there for you. And he even said a few people that were family members, everything, are complete demons now. And he was like, and he told me how they would act, and that's exactly how these particular individuals act. He was like, and then he showed me there's a certain group of people's souls that's in hell for doing this. And he was like, whatever experiment they've been putting me in, they were never supposed to do it again because I already done it enough. And they actually, he said, and he basically said, I'm gonna make them eat this when they do it this time, because it was like, whatever experiment they've been putting me in, they were not supposed to put me in it for 50 years because of how hard my life was, period, at all. No way fashionable. And that's why the energy is shifted. And so it's like everybody keeps saying, you think a certain way. I always thought positive and good about people. But the energy is shifting according to what y'all supported. Because the people y'all supported are secret addicts. The people y'all supported are secret prostitutes. The people y'all supported are secret liars. The people y'all supported are secretly witches and warlocks. And that's why the energy like that. I ain't never been that way. So, and this energy, when they say that, this worldwide, it affects the world. They know this somehow. So, that's why I seen that guy in the Astro. He said, you fool. I think he was talking to a lot of these important people. He said, you should never done this. And that's why the grave cried out, you know, I'm guessing. But anyway, besides, I'm just telling you how I had to deal with it. And I just knew I had a natural love for God. I was always helping people on the street, even though I was like I was on the street. I was always supportive on the street. You couldn't rape no women around me on the street. You couldn't run no gang to rape women around me on the street. Not how it's promoted today. You couldn't set up games and stuff to put women in a position to make them lose their light. You couldn't do that around me. Like my group, we ate good and we were good. You know, you couldn't. Man, you know, I was still in school, high school, still moving like that, and dealing with you know certain things, and you couldn't come around them. You couldn't, you know, didn't nobody mess with us. They knew we were fighters, and they knew we wasn't scared of no guns. So they knew what time it was, and it really wasn't even many of us. It wasn't a gang of us. It was just a few of us, but we were tough. It was about 7 or 8 of us, but we were tough. You know what I'm saying? None of us were nothing to play with. Period. Uh, 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 and we had a. I'm talking about the males so far as the protection over the little squad, the little enterprise that we did have going on. So didn't nobody interfere with our people that dealt with us. But they would slick this, they would slick hate, they would always plot and scheme. They did that all the time, every time. But I just never knew. I just knew that every time I wanted to be with God, I kept getting attacked. And then when God talked to me and God said, "Go to tarot and everything gonna clear. Everything gonna clear." And that's what happened. I went to tarot and they were talking about these experiments. They were talking about sacrifices. They was talking about how people do magic on your food, stuff like this. They were talking about root chakra magic, and I was like, wait a minute, all this stuff been going on in my whole life. They were talking about all this stuff, how love is a switch. They were talking about destiny swapping, energy swapping, all that. I was like, wait a minute. And that's when I found out. But I done went from church to church, taught religious person to religious person. I never got that kind of information, and I needed that information. Otherwise, I was finna stay down. So, and spiritual people helped me as well. It was like the religious world hide that information, or they don't want to talk about it as a devil. But you can't say that of the devil when you are putting them kind of spells on people, because the people who were putting these spells on me was church people. See how that worked? You talk bad about these spiritual folk, but y'all was the one putting the spells on them. It was like they was trying to. When I finally started getting down to it, I was like, "What's wrong with everybody?" I started snapping again, and they were like, "Maybe they want you to preach, but preach the way they want you to preach." And even though that person said what they said out of sarcasm, I really believed it. And I said, "That'll never happen." Cause they straight up hypocrite. I was talking about because we knew the group of people or whatever. I was like, I know these people. I already know. It don't matter if they go to church on Sunday and Wednesday or not. I always say your house should catch on fire as soon as you walk in the church. Ain't no way in the hell you a church person. Ain't no way in the hell you love God, period. You better thank God got mercy on you. And it was like, for me, it was safer to be on the street than be in a church. It was how bad it was. Ain't no way I was going to do it. But I don't like disrespecting God. I don't know how y'all going to take that out there. I'm just trying to help. Oh, this was my past anyway. This is what I grew up dealing with. But anyway, they brought clarity to it. So I stayed on looking at the cards for about 3 years, and I stopped after that because my energy was starting to get switched up and then I said, nah, we ain't gonna go through that. I just stopped watching it. And they probably did it for protection reasons, I don't know, but I wasn't gonna stay to find out. I was already discombobulated for what I've been going through my whole life. And it was like, so what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say I was a child that loved God, but it was like everything was keeping me from even thinking about loving God. So it's amazing for me to be here today and teach about God and love God like the way I have, because somebody literally sabotaged everything, even the blessing and the blissfulness, redirected all that. Somebody been on me. Somebody been on me hard that long, back to back. And like I said, when I would get with my girls, when I used to have them, they would throw these little hints about family members, and I was like, they look like the demon you saying I am. And they do, they look like little monsters. They look just, when you go look at the old videos of these people, when they in their monster form, you look at these bodies of these people, they look just like them. And they act like them. They know that these women know it. These women party with them secretly, do all kind of inhumane stuff with these people secretly. So I wasn't feeling it, bro. But by looking at tarot, I just withdraw some more. And then I finally started feeling God a lot more. I finally started understanding a lot more. And I realized, however I withdraw myself this time, even though I'm still in that energy, because I'm forced to stay stuck around them, somehow I cut myself out to the point where I can feel a little bit of my energy. But it's still constant attacks, though. And that's like, I was talking to God. I was like, it's almost like y'all don't see the attack. They be like, smile. I be like, for what? And that's what, you know what I'm saying? Then over time, we looked into that, and I realized And God and I think ancestors and everybody, they all, of course, God know that whoever my family swapped me out with, they whatever they had going on, that person was getting my blessing. And somehow it's almost like they almost spit, but I don't believe that. That ain't true. I felt like they almost tricked the spiritual side, but they didn't though. It's all part of this test to wake you up. I'm like, they tricked the whole spiritual. They tricked the spiritual to uh, torture me to death. These people that will get blessed, oh my God, ain't no way. I ain't saying they bad people. I'm just saying what the attention and love that they was getting. I seen people die for a lot less. You know what I'm saying? No, but that just like I said, tarot just brought clarity to a spiritual world. Just brought clarity to what I've been going through. And then, like I said, God finally came to me and said, they signed you up for something. And it was like a 50. I don't even think I'm supposed to do that whole 50 years. If anything, 44, I should be out of here on my own. Even if I get nobody, by 44, God itself, I should be getting up out of here. But, well, out of this situation, regardless, no matter what. But, I still got work to do. Because the century struggle ain't got nothing to do with this. The century struggle is more of a learn, more of something. It ain't to this stagnated state. I ain't never been this stagnated. This started in 2020 when somebody sold their soul to do something crazy. I don't know what this is. But my life always been up and down. And like I could go to bed healthy, feeling great. And I wake up feeling like I swallowed glass. It was like every day, every other day. It was just awful. And then that's when I started realizing I had to just stop. I had to start taking care of myself, feeding myself, stay away from people, quit having sexual contact with folks. I just had to completely cut myself off from people. And then I started feeling healthy and looking healthy. And then once again, like I said, tarot brought clarity. They put stuff in your food, do this and that, and that. All of it started making sense. It was wicked. And then come to find out my lover probably had a lover that they was really in love with, and they were probably another woman. Cause I'm in love with a woman, she in love with a woman, and they were doing everything for whoever they had on the other side secretly. Or it could have been another dude, I don't know. But whoever they was using me for, or whoever they were cheating on me for, they was really in love with that person. And that person was attacking me through my lover most of the time. That's it. It's longer than that, y'all.